Alright, so I kind of forgot to record when I was starting this, but I'm gonna do a dry pour. So basically I dug out like 6-7 inches. These are 2x6 boards. I wanted to have 4 inches thick of concrete. 2x4 is only 3.5 inches wide, so I had to go with 2x6. Dug it out, put the forms in, got it all leveled off. Kind of matching the same slope as this pad that it's next to, going off that way into the yard. Just gonna try to kind of expand my sidewalk area here, but put an inch of dirt inside the form. Since I want to have 4 inches of concrete and it's a 6-inch board, there's an inch of dirt, an inch of gravel, which I kind of realized that the gravel should probably be everywhere, not just inside the form. Like there should be a base level of gravel. So next time I'll probably do it that way, but for now this should work. So there's an inch of dirt and an inch of gravel, and then I just started putting the concrete bags on here. This is I believe 5 bags. It's supposed to take like 11 to get this thing full. So this is a 4x5 section, 20 square feet, 4 inches thick. Yeah, but now I'm about to smooth out this first layer and start kind of compacting it down. So I'll come back and show you what that looks like. All right, this is still only with 5 bags in there. I took a 2x4, a small chunk of one, and kind of compressed it down as best I could by hand, just to try to get it, so it's all, there's no inclusions or any like air pockets or anything in there. So I'm gonna go around now and tap the form like this with the mallet, just to make sure that there's no air pockets around the edges, and I'll press it down again after that with the 2x4, and then we'll add some more concrete on top, add the second layer. But one thing that's kind of concerning is the internet calculator said I needed 11 bags of 80 pounds to make this work. This is only 5 bags, and it's like, I don't know, I guess we'll see when I put more in there, but I don't know if it's going to take as much as a traditional dry or a wet pour, or if the calculator's just telling you that you need extra so you don't, mess up and not get enough. I don't know, but I guess we'll see. But I'll come back after I hit this with the hammer and then push it back down with the 2x4 again. So this is a technique that I actually saw from another guy on YouTube, like DIY Grappler or something like that. I'll try to link him in the comments or down below if I can remember. But basically take a 2x4 and you go along the edge and just kind of tamp down the edge all the way around. And at first when I started doing it, I was like, this doesn't really seem like it's doing very much. But then I got to a couple spots where you could tell where it was kind of like light and fluffy. So it kind of helps you find the spots that are don't have enough concrete and kind of have an air pocket underneath them, so you can kind of push it down and get the edges nice and compact. I think that's what gives you he was getting some really clean edges on the last couple pads he did in his videos. And I think just having it, as compressed as possible to make sure concrete is filling all the spots, especially along the edges, so that when you take the forms off, it doesn't crack or break. But that's just something that I picked up, and it seems like it's a good idea. So I'm probably going to go over this flat one more time just to push it down. But yeah, gonna fill in some more concrete. All right, so I poured like 5 more bags on, so it's 10 bags now that are 80 pounds each. So they're supposed to take 11, so I don't know what's going on with that. It seems like I already have too much. I have to push this hill all the way across, which is annoying, but yeah, basically just taking this 2x4 board and skating it across there. It actually looks pretty good. And this isn't even like finished yet. I'm just my initial first trial here. It's the first time I'm doing this, but yeah. So my only concern is that it's probably not going to be as dense as like a wet pour, which I'm sure is what that calculator's for. Either that or it's not as deep as I anticipated it to be. It's a little bit shallow, maybe by like a 1/4 inch. So yeah, just gonna keep going across with this 2x4, and I'll come back and show you guys when I'm done with it. All right, I'm back after the first pass with the screed. One piece of advice I want to give, something I just learned, is that you should probably pour the concrete in, at least for the second layer, as you go, so that you don't end up putting too much in, because that's what I did. And now I'm left with some extra, but I'll just put that in the garage and maybe try to use it for something else later. But yeah, so this is the first pass with the screed. I need to get the concrete off the forms here so that when I go back for the second pass, it you know, it's level with the actual form and not the stuff that's sitting here on top of it. And then I think I might try to compress it a little bit and then pour some maybe more on top maybe. I got this like painter's tool. It was like half the price of the concrete tools. I'll just use this like smooth edge, but I'm gonna maybe try to compress it a little bit more just to see if I can get a little bit of more density, put some more concrete on top out of that bucket. But yeah, I'll come back after I push it down and go over it a second time and then start putting a corner on it. All right, I didn't really see anybody on YouTube doing like a second compression like I'm doing for the top layer, but in some spots, especially like along the edges here where my existing driveway is, or along the forms, or even some spots here, it's going down like at least 1/8 of an inch, maybe more. So just trying to get it as dense and strong as possible. Want that top layer to be strong. I definitely plan on parking cars on top of this once I make it bigger. So yeah, I think that's part of this, is trying to get as much in there as you can. Density is key for strength. So all right, so I use this edge tool, and it's kind of a pain in the ass, but got it done. Got there to be a nice gap between the form and the pad. Meeting it up against this piece of concrete was the hardest part, because it's hard to feel like where the edge of the concrete is versus the board is pretty defined. But it's not perfect, but it's better than nothing. So I kind of like this if this was like a sidewalk, but I kind of want to also try to make it like smoother, just to see if I can. So I think I'm gonna use this again, see if I can kind of give it like a garage floor finish, just to see if I can, honestly. And if not, I might have to go over it with a paint roller like some of the videos I saw on YouTube. But honestly, like, this finish isn't bad. I could do it like this, but yeah, that's how it looks. Not bad. I did also want to mention that I did end up using most of this that was in this bucket. I went over it multiple times with the screed, kept pouring in the low spots. Any spot that I saw aggregate, I would put a little bit more of the concrete on, and especially along the edges and stuff, made sure it was all as full as I could. So I ended up using most of that actually, which was good. But yeah, I went over it multiple times, made sure there was no rocks along the edges, and then just tried to get it as flat as possible. Filled in the low spots, and this is where we're at. Alright, so that actually worked out pretty good. I kind of like bent up the sharp edges on this, and then just used the flat edge. It kind of pushed a little bit to the edges, but then I just went over it with the corner tool again. It's not perfectly smooth, but I don't want to screw it up, so I think I'm just going to put the water on it now. It's looking good. Alright, so this is after misting it the first time. She is looking minty. I'm glad I watched a bunch of YouTube videos on this before I did it. Got a lot of good tips from people. But yeah, I'm pretty impressed with this, honestly. So come back in 15 minutes and mist it again. Alright, so I just misted it for the second time. Touched it a little bit. Feels, you know, hard enough. Obviously it's not anywhere close to full hardness yet, but it is getting hard, so that's good. Good sign. I think it looks pretty good. So just gonna mist it again in like 15 more minutes, and then wait a little bit after that and start adding the water. Alright, this is like 10 days later. I went on vacation for a week. Kind of just left it. It looks like it's still wet, so that's kind of good. It's supposed to stay wet for like a month or so according to the bag to get the full hardness. I might start putting some water on this again now that I'm home, but just wanted to show you guys what it looks like. I kind of screwed up the edges a little bit, but that's my first one, so, you know, live and learn. Testing stuff out, just trying to figure out how this works, but I mean, it's freaking solid. I can stand on it. Put too much water onto that first, and this edge kind of started falling off. You can see like it has a small crack like along the edge there, and I kind of fixed it with the corner tool when it was wet. Kind of pushed it back down, so I think it'll be all right, but as long as it's strong in the middle. Like I said, this is my first test really, so when I start doing the bigger pieces over here, I'll be a little bit more experienced, and hopefully it turns out better next time. But yeah, I can't complain with how this came out for the first time, so yeah, give it a try.